Hello, happy Monday. It is October 10th and we're back for another full week. Should be more of a normal week compared to last week, and we're off to a good start. It's already after school. We had a good Monday, so I'm glad we're kicking the week off on a positive note. I know many of you guys probably did not have school today for Indigenous Peoples Day. We do, so we made sure we talked about that today and about Christopher Columbus and kind of went through, and I had my class last year, so we did this last year as well, but I just kind of talked about like what I was taught when I was younger and how the things I was taught about Columbus were not true. So we went through and read about him and just kind of discussed how, like, in Minnesota where we are, we call it Indigenous Peoples Day, and how there are still states that call it and celebrate Columbus Day, and talked about whether we think they should or shouldn't, and if that's, and why. But let's get to where we started the day. So to kick off the day, I'm having them come in and get into our reading rotations first thing. I've never done that before. I like to usually do a morning meeting, but we have reading intervention at 8:40, so we have it like right away. So we're going to do an end of the day meeting on the days that we remember to. Today we did not, but I love a morning meeting. It's just with our schedule this year, it's not ideal. So I had this for my group I met with, or my two groups I met with today. This is from Reading A to Z. So we're just going to focus this week on characters and how, like, this one talks about, like, what do we know about the characters based off what they say and do in a story. So Hansel and Gretel is what we read through today, and we'll continue to discuss this week. Today we went through the vocabulary and then talked about what our focus was going to be, and then they read. Some of them didn't quite finish, so tomorrow we'll reread and then get more into discussion about what we know about the characters and the evidence to support what we're coming up with for each character. I also have a fluency passage that we're going to read a few times this week just to practice our reading fluency. So those two things were when they were with me in group. If they weren't with me, I have a variety of things that they're working on. Could be working on writing, whether that's making up their own stories. Some of them want to do research to do like a nonfiction topic. Rocket Spelling's a website that they can go on. I'm going to have about 2 articles on Read Works I want them to do by the end of the week, and Epic and Read to Self for the other rotations. So last week our read alouds were memoirs. So this week our reading lessons are going to focus on memoirs, and we're going to use the books that we read last week to talk about those lessons. So today we talked about reviewed what a memoir is, and then also about how the author's choosing a time that was important to them to write about. And then the last thing we discussed is how a lot of them will be written in first person point of view, but not all of them. But that's something that's pretty common, is for them to be written in first person point of view. So this is what those lesson slides looked like, what a memoir is. Took 3 of the ones we talked about and what the memory was and why it was important to the author. And then lastly, just talked about how memoirs most of them are written in first person point of view. For writing, we are doing opinion writing, and last week they made kind of an outline like this, just of something of their own opinion. I let them completely choose what they wanted it to be, but they came up with 3 reasons and then kind of elaborated or found examples for each of those reasons. So this was my example today. And then what I wanted them to do was to take one of those reasons. So we did this part last week. Today they were taking one of those reasons and turning it into a full paragraph. So I had, like, there's my topic sentence, then I had my first reason, and then I listed those examples I had created. So we used our outline to create one paragraph, and then we'll do the other ones each day. In 3rd grade, we just wrote one paragraph, and like each of these was a sentence. So this is getting them to elaborate and expand more. So this is the first time we've done it. So some of them are having a little bit more difficult time with it, but we'll get there. For math, I'm also doing rotations. So I did our whole group lesson together, and that was just me doing so about 5 to 7 minutes, and it was on rounding to the nearest millions. And then when they were with me, we did practice problems. So I could see how each of them are doing more in a small setting, and it was easier for me to intervene and offer guidance. It's hard to do when all 25 of them are doing. If they weren't with me, I had some workbook pages they were doing, and then also their math facts and Moby Max, and then some review work on IXL. So not super exciting, but it's just really nice having the smaller groups so I can help out with what is ever needed. We had 12 butterflies, so we released those today because it's about 65 today and it's supposed to be 75 tomorrow, so release them so they have a chance to get a move on before it gets too cold here. And then for social studies, we kind of talked about what we knew about Christopher Columbus. A lot of them remembered stuff from last year. I told them about what I was taught when I was younger, and then from there we read this book, which a girl is going through, and she has to do a school research project on Columbus, and she learns and unlearns a lot. So that is actually what the focus question was, is what does Karen learn and unlearn about Columbus? And then after that, I just had them decide, like, hey, what do you think? Should other states celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day? Is it okay to keep celebrating Columbus Day? What do you think? And my whole class thought that everybody should just celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day because some of the reasons were Columbus never actually set foot in the United States. They ended up bringing disease. By they, I mean like him and his crew, so like the Europeans. The Vikings were here before them. They had quite a few reasons, and just to celebrate and honor like how Columbus coming over actually wrecked a lot of the communities of the Indigenous people that were here and the tribes. So I agree with them. I think we should all just celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day, but so far it's not the case. But that was our day in 4th grade. It's actually a really good day. Yeah, so hopefully the rest of the week goes just as well. I will see you guys tomorrow, so have a good night. Goodbye. Hello, happy Tuesday. It is the afternoon, and honestly, we're off to a great start to the week. It's been way better than last week. At this point last week, I was like, done. But it's been 2 good days. It's also been very nice fall weather, so maybe that helps. I don't know. But here's what we did today. All right, our books this week are on the author-illustrator Alan Say. We did not get to ours yesterday, like I said, but today we read The Sign Painter. It was okay. Little, I don't know. But it wasn't very long, so I'd say it was a decent book. And then our word work today was sorting words based off of hard or soft C and G sounds, and then also CH making the ch or the kush sound, which is literally secret stories. So instead of just having them read and guess, we knew CE, CI, CY, and then GE, GI, GY, so we made the J sound. And for CH, we know the most common sounds going to be the ch, but it can also make the k sound. So we still do the word work lesson like it is in the book, but we have that to help us, so we actually have a reason why, so that's super nice. For writing, we just did our second paragraph, and they did a much better job today of organizing their thoughts and getting like examples to support that reason. And that really was our morning, doing those things. We also did our reading rotations, so we did our small groups and whatever else. We had been doing rounding for math, so today we did rounding to estimate sums and differences. So they rounded numbers to either the 10, 100, or 1,000, and then found the sum and difference to help us estimate. We talked a little bit about conductors and insulators for science, finished the reptile room, and that was our day. So I'm out of here. It's very nice out. It's like 75 degrees, and I might go grab a little drink with some friends. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Goodbye. Happy Wednesday. It was a very strange day. As you know by now, Wednesdays are our day where we have library added in and art, so our schedule gets a little thrown off. We also have our counselor every other Wednesday as well, but we did not this week. So we had those 2 things added in, and then today was National Walk to School Day. So every year for that, we do a school-wide walk in the morning, just down. It's kind of really nice. I'll put it in a picture here, but down by like the lake, and it was a really beautiful morning. A little chilly, but it was really nice. So that's about 25 or 30 minutes. So that messed up part of our morning, and then we had library, and then we had art. So our schedule was a little off again today. So again, we didn't get to our read aloud. So we missed Monday, read one yesterday, now we're off. So we're gonna have to make those up, but that's okay, because next week we have a short week, so we can make up some of those read alouds next week. This morning, our reading lesson was on turning points. So we did talk about just like turning points in stories and books that we've read. I had my students write a letter to me about what book they're currently reading, because I just realized I don't fully know. Like, I feel like some of them are changing their book often, so I need to be better at sharing what we're reading and doing book talks. And then I also made this while they were at art today. I've done something like this in the past. I'm going to be determined to stick with it better this year. I did laminate these, so I thought about just writing it on with whiteboard marker, but the whiteboard marker was like fading, and then I thought maybe it'd be nice, like I put mine on here, like when I finish this, maybe on our hooks outside we can just put what books we finished above our names so we can kind of keep track. So I just thought maybe it'd be nice to actually have it on a piece of paper so we can stick those somewhere to see what books people have completed. So we'll do this, fill this out tomorrow. Somebody obviously saw mine, so she already put hers up, which is awesome, but we'll get everybody else on there tomorrow to put down what they are currently reading. For math, we started just doing addition. They all are pretty much, having that skill down still. Subtraction usually needs some review. So today was addition. They did really well. Tomorrow we'll do some subtraction, and probably on Friday as well. And we started our new chapter book read aloud. We finished the reptile room yesterday, so I had them vote today between doing the 3rd series of an unfortunate events book or starting one called The False Prince, which I read this summer. My coworker, Ben, told me that it was one of his favorite read-alouds when he taught 5th, and he had been our STEAM teacher and moved back into the classroom. Anyways, he mentioned it, so I read it this summer, and it was really good. So I kind of told my class what it was about, and then had them vote, and a lot wanted to read The Wide Window, so I just said, the False Prince won by like 3 votes. So I just said, it's not that we won't read The Wide Window, but let's just take a break, read The False Prince, and we can always come back to The Wide Window after. So we started that today. After school, I got my flu shot because they were here today, and that was my day. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you tomorrow. Hello and happy Thursday. It is the end of the day. Overall, it was a good day, but we have like our first snowfall starting. I don't know if you can see it out there. Like, it's not a lot, but you can see those flakes. And there was enough of a temperature and weather change for the kids to notice and to be a little hyper this afternoon. Luckily, it held off until like 1:40, and we went outside at 2 for our recess, and they got some energy out. But up until then, it was awesome. But then they just kind of started getting, I don't know. I never believed in like the temperature change and full moon behavior in kids until I became a teacher. And now I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Anyways, here's what we did today. Our book, I already gave it back to my coworker who keeps them in his room, was Tea with Milk. So this was actually about the author's family. So that was kind of interesting about how his parents met. They wrote their 3rd paragraph in their opinion writing. And those were the main things we did this morning. Obviously did our reading rotations where I had my small groups, and we were reading, Hansel and Gretel, and just talking about characters and finding evidence in the text to support the traits we were coming up with and inferring about those characters. For math today, we started subtraction and really just talking about slowing down and making sure that you're looking at the numbers, because it's so, I just kind of brought up how in addition, it doesn't matter what order you add, like 3 plus 4 is 7, 4 plus 3 is 7. But in math, 7 minus 4 and 4 minus 7 are different. So you need to be looking at the numbers and what you're starting with, and are you able to actually subtract? And they actually did a really good job. So they just, I don't know, just always is a topic that needs to be retaught. I'm just noticing from 3rd grade, we always spend a lot of time on it, and now having my class from 4th grade, a lot of them were making little mistakes. So clearly it need to be retaught, and tomorrow we'll do subtraction across zeros because we didn't do any of that today. We just focused on subtracting, and yeah. Then for science, we did a little STEM challenge. We did catapults, but I have these basketball hoop garbage cans that are back there still. I'll just show you the slides I had. Okay, so they had a $10 budget to launch a ping pong ball. They got 3 shots to score as many points as possible. I had tape lines on the ground for a 2-point shot and a 3-point shot. Just let them know that all materials and sales are final. Just reiterated the engineering design process. So, hey, create it, test it, improve it. Keep thinking about those things. This is what I had available. And I just, if they ended up, when they launched, if they hit the hoop, I gave them a point. And if they made it in, they got either the 2 or the 3 points. I just talked about how we want it to be accurate, not necessarily about distance, but accuracy. Here's the key. And then I had this up there with their 20 minutes to work. They would come back to me and they had to have done the math ahead of time, and I just kept a running tab on a piece of paper. All right, so they worked with partners, did that. Oops, I didn't need that timer because I embedded it under there. Got our scoreboard, and that was that. Cleaned up, and we went home. Thursday. So I'm out of here. See you tomorrow for Friday. Rumor has it we could have an inch of accumulated snow tomorrow. Hope not. Bye. Happy Friday. There was some snow on the ground this morning. It was chilly. It was windy, but we got outside. I was very thankful it was not indoor recess today because we needed to move. Overall, it was a really good day. Around like 2-ish, had a couple little bumps, but looking at the whole day as a whole, it was a good day. Our read aloud today was The Lost Lake by Alan Say, which I think was a pretty good realistic fiction book. Pretty quick. I mean, not one of my favorites, but it was good overall. Our reading mini lesson, we talked about author's message and how what happens to the characters we can often apply to different situations and learn from it. So we talked about some of the books that we read last week and just about how some of them were like artists talking about how they had to keep trying until they finally got their first deal. And we talked about how like the bigger message could just be like believing in yourself or following your dreams, not giving up, perseverance, that type of thing. So we did that for about 3 books that we read last week and talked about what the bigger message could be. And now a lot of times authors, the books will have a lesson that we can learn and take and apply to our own life, even if it's not directly related to what was happening in the story. We finished, most of us, our rough draft of our opinion writing. So they had 3 paragraphs, and then a lot of them I was able to go through and kind of edit and give them a little bit of feedback, and a lot of them were able to do like their final copy, and the rest of them will finish that next week. Let's see, for math today we did subtracting across zeros, so that was super exciting. And we did our Laker time, kind of like Friday fun. So if you had your stuff done, got some free time, and if you didn't, you had to finish it and work on it. So that was our week. Next week, it is a short week. It's MEA, so Minnesota Education Association, I think. So like there's like a conference, but you don't have to go to it. I never have. So we'll have school Monday through Wednesday, and I'll have Thursday and Friday off. So I'm looking forward to that very much. So yeah, overall it was a good week. We just have things to still work on and improve on. So 1 week at a time is what I'm trying to tell myself. So what more can we do, I guess? Anyways, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to do nothing this weekend, and I'm very excited about it. So probably we'll see you guys on Monday for a short week and see what we do. Otherwise, take care. Goodbye.